Hi guys, I'm Andy. Welcome back to Backpacking UK. If hiking, backpacking and wild camping are your thing, please hit that subscribe button because that's what this channel's all about. Right, today I'm going to teach you how to avoid making mistakes when buying wild camping gear. That's an absolute minefield out there. It really is hard choosing camping gear. I see lots of you getting frustrated, either on forums online or in comments on my videos and other people's videos too. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick the main problems that you guys face and I'm going to teach you how to get around those problems. So the first thing we're going to talk about is sleeping bags, because this is by far the one that you get most frustrated with, and in particular comfort levels. Now this OEX sleeping bag states comfort level of 7 degrees. I was using this for a week last year and it was getting down 7 degrees during the night. I was absolutely freezing, so be really careful. From my experience, I would say on 90% of the sleeping bags out there, you really need to add on at least 3 degrees. And in many cases, as much as 5 degrees. So just be really, really careful. I would always act on the side of caution and just go up a level. The next one is pack size. Now, I see too many people being really impressed with themselves because they've got a tiny sleeping bag. Now, most of the time, I think tiny equals cold, so just be careful about that. Also, synthetic versus down. Now, this is plus 7 degrees comfort limit. This is -5, and there's not a lot of difference there really. So if you're going to camp out there in slightly colder conditions, I'd really consider a down sleeping bag. So the second thing we're going to talk about is tents. Now, don't think going for a one-person tent necessarily means they're smaller and lighter than a two-person tent. For instance, this is my Hilleberg Solo and this is my Wild Country Helm 2 Compact, which is substantially shorter than my Hilleberg Solo. This is a one-man tent, this is a two-person tent. And believe it or not, this actually weighs slightly less than my one-person tent as well. The other thing to consider is four-season tents. Now, I absolutely love my Nature Hike Cloud Peak 2. It's not really a four-season tent, so just be careful about that. When you talk about four-season tents, I think the Europeans do it pretty well, to be honest. They're quite rugged tents, thicker material, lots of solid mesh, the fly goes right to the floor. So just be really careful when companies claim that they're selling a four-season tent. Just make those checks before you buy. My next issue with tents is weight. Now, not all tent manufacturers quote the all-in weight of the tent. MSR is a classic example of this. My mate still swears that his MSR Elixir 2 still weighs 2.2 kilos, but once it's all together, it's actually 2.7 kilos. It's about half a kilo more. That's a huge amount. And it's not just them, to be honest, other manufacturers do the same thing as well. But one thing I have got an issue with is some of the American brands. They do tend to love the whole ultralight backpacking sort of thing. Over here in Europe, tents seem to be made a lot better. For instance, I've got a tarp tent, Scarp 1, it's actually my second one, but I don't know, the build quality on it, I'm not sure, it's just not the same. It made really thin fabrics throughout, tiny little fastenings, tiny little bits of ribbon, there's stuff missing like stakes and guy lines, and it's just not the complete package, which is fine if you know that, but I'm just saying, if you buy an American brand tent, don't expect like Hilleberg style quality, or to be honest, even some of my cheaper Vanco tents are much better quality, and they're going to last much longer too. So my third wild camping gear mistake is sleeping mats. Now you can either have roll mats, Z mats, inflatable mats or insulated mats. But just again, be careful. See a lot of people again getting very excited because they've got a tiny little sleeping mat. However, I can guarantee this is a hell of a lot warmer, and this also has an R value where this is probably so low it doesn't really count, to be honest. So I would say again, if you're wild camping in cooler conditions, get yourself an insulated mat. Just be wary that it's going to weigh a bit more, and it's also going to have a larger pack size too, but you'll sleep so much better. And why is that? It's because you've got your nice sleeping bag, it's all lofty, and we all know how sleeping bags work is it traps that hot air in the loft. Now, when you're sleeping on your sleeping mat, that compresses so it can't trap the air in and you get cold. Now, that's where your sleeping mat comes in, because if it's insulated, you've got a bit of insulation in your sleeping mat, so it's making up for that compressed loft in your sleeping bag. So my next thing is pillows. This is the classic Trekology Aloft pillow. Now, it's all right. I changed this because my face used to get stuck to it, but it's a tiny little pillow and it's reasonably comfy. But I tell you what, if you get something like this Nemo Philo pillow, yes, it's much, much, much bigger, and it also weighs much more, but it's so soft. You've got some proper padding in this, and I've got to say, it did transform my night's sleep. So again, just be a little bit wary of that when finding a pillow, that it might be worth actually getting something a little bit bigger with a little bit of sponge in there rather than just air. So my next one is camping stoves. Now, the main thing about a camping stove is you want to boil water or you want to heat food. Now, I absolutely love my Jetboil Minimo. I really, really do. It's a bit of a gadget. It's an all-in-one stove. I think this is absolutely fantastic. But if you can't afford it, because this is about £150, there's nothing to stop you using something smaller. For instance, like my MSR Pocket Rocket stove. I think I got this for like £26. It's absolutely tiny, this is. And if you don't want to spend £26 on it, you can find camping stoves probably on Amazon for under a tenner, really. Now, the reason for saying this is don't get hung up on camping stoves, especially if you don't have the money. At the end of the day, they're doing quite a simple function. Yes, this is nice and Gucci. It's lovely to have if you can afford it. But if you can, don't worry, because there's loads of different options out there. So my next wild camping gear mistake to avoid is backpacks. Yes, yet again, I see people trying to save weight all the time, thinking it's going to be more comfy. Now, this Osprey Levity weighs under half what this Atmos does. But I'm telling you, if you're fully packing these bags, this is so much more comfy to wear. It really, really is. So don't buy this thinking you're saving weight and therefore you're going to be more comfy. You'd be a fool to think that. You'd be better off if you're going to fully pack your backpack to go with something like the Atmos. So both great backpacks, but this also has a ton more features too. The main thing when I'm talking about comfort, I'm just talking about like straps. To be fair, this has got reasonable straps on it. I've seen lots of backpacks with far worse straps, but this is just in a different league. Also with hip straps too. It's just designed to carry more weight. So my next mistake to avoid is one that I've made recently. And yes, I do make mistakes, but I'd rather share them with you rather than you make them just like I did. I bought an Osprey Ether backpack. Felt good. I'm always trying stuff on in the shops. Felt really good. However, when I really loaded it up, which is why I bought that backpack in the first place, even though it's really, really adjustable, it was just that little bit too big for me. I was absolutely gutted. That was a size large. So I've been forced to get a size medium. took this out. It's totally different on the comfort levels. It sits on my hips far better. My hips can now help take the weight rather than just my shoulders. So it's really hard. You know, if you go into a shop, just imagine it fully weighted, and if it was sagging, have you got enough adjustment in the backpack to make it super comfy? So next up is hiking boots. Now, see lots of people saying that they would never go hiking or backpacking without their compede. Now, I think that can be avoided myself. Now, people constantly overlooking socks. I don't know why people go spend £200 on a pair of hiking boots and then wear some socks that they would wear like around the house, or 2 pairs of socks, or get some football socks, something like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I would highly recommend some merino wool socks. These are darn tough socks, which they're absolutely lovely. I haven't had a problem with any of my hiking boots wearing these darn tough socks. Or if there's room in your boots, then 1,000 mile socks. These are absolutely awesome as well. But that's another tip for buying wild camping gear. If you intend to wear really thick socks, you're probably going to have to size up on your hiking boots. So just be careful with that. Now next up, going along the hiking gear theme, is waterproof layers. Now, there's lots of people that I've seen say my Pack-A-Mac, my Kagul does the same job. It's fully waterproof, keeps me out the rain, which it might do. But if you are hiking or backpacking, you're going to sweat so much. You're just going to be wet through inside. So yes, this is like a Gore-Tex jacket, but to be honest, there's lots of other ways to get breathable hiking jackets and trousers out there. But you want something like Gore-Tex that's just going to help you breathe, get that moisture out from inside the jacket, outside, and then you can be dry on the inside, and it doesn't matter if you're wet on the outside. But in summary, to avoid making mistakes when buying wild camping gear, firstly, you need to choose what sort of gear you're after. Are you after lightweight, or are you after comfort or durability, or maybe you haven't got the budget, you're just going for cheap? But I would choose which one that you want to go with. Now, for my subscribers, the majority of you are after comfort. So with comfort, unfortunately, comes a little bit more weight and also bulk. Now make sure you go for a bigger backpack and make sure there's loads of padding there and it's a really good fit. So hopefully you got something out of my how to avoid making mistakes when buying wild camping gear. If you follow my advice, hopefully you're going to pick the right product first, which is what it's all about at the end of the day, and it stops you wasting money by buying stuff, trying it out, having to sell it secondhand, buying new stuff. It's just a complete waste of your time and money. So hopefully you got something out of this review today. Please check out my videos and hope to see you camping soon. Cheers.